Okay. Good morning, everyone. We are gonna play with a tennis ball today, or any other kind of ball that would work. A lacrosse ball, a therapy ball, a dryer ball. Just so it looks kind of like this, because we can play with a tennis ball to release muscle tension and some of those kind of tight muscles that keep us from loosening up a little bit. So just grab your tennis ball and put it in your hands. We're going to start standing because one of the things I love to do with the tennis ball is to open up the feet, and then we'll come on down and we'll play with the hips and we'll get ourselves all good and stretched out. Just a couple of things. Please don't overdo it with the tennis ball. There's like discomfort, sensation, and then there's pain. If your body tells you that you are putting too much pressure on the tennis ball, please don't do that, right? Because I love to dig in deep, but I don't want you to bruise yourself. So don't go crazy. Just check it out and see how it feels to you. We've been focusing a bunch on the lower body, the quads, the knees, the ankles last class. So we're just going to kind of wrap all that up. So just hold the tennis ball and kind of roll it around your hands a little bit. And just start to check out your breath. Relax your jaw, relax your belly. Whoop. Don't drop it. No, you can drop it. And then place it between your palms and interlace your hands. And I want you to squeeze the tennis ball. And then release it. And then squeeze. And release and squeeze, and release, right? So when we're doing down dog and plank and it hurts our hands, this is a great way to start to loosen that up. Good, just one more big squeeze, and then release it. And then right where that thumb pad is, yep, just kind of rub it into that. And you can even do a little pressure point by kind of grabbing that part of the hand and squeezing. Or you can do this on the floor or on a table. I really like that, where you're using the table or the floor. And then go to the other side. And then just let your fingers wrap around it and let it sit down below, and close your eyes, and let's find our center. So it's kind of interesting when we play with props and there's something super lightweight like this. How do we bring our attention to something different, right? Something where we feel this little bit of weight, we let it, in a sense, ground us, right? Notice the feet. If you're out on the outer edges of the feet, try to draw the big toe mounds down a little bit more. The glutes, legs are active, but not overly. Think mountain pose. Draw the shoulders over to your sides. Start to take a deeper breath in. Nice deep exhale out. And just feel the weight of this little tennis ball or whatever it is you're using. Just feel it in your hands. Deep breath. Exhale it out. Good. Just one more here. And then open the eyes. I want you to take the same tennis ball behind you and just let it rest between the palms and press your hands back. Press the arms back. Draw the shoulders back. We're just stretching out the front body. Oh, that should feel really nice. The shoulders draw back and down, right? We're just giving it a little stretch. Maybe the arms raise up a little bit, but not if the shoulders, the front shoulders, not if they start to draw forward. And just kind of notice that. And then release it. Take that ball in front of you again. Take the arms up. I realize you can't see my hands. That's okay. And then just bend over to one side, stretch. And come center. Go to the other side. Good. Center. Again, go to one side. Big deep breath, and the other side. Good. Take it center. Draw that down. Press into it. Really engage the chest. So the elbows are out to the side. You're pressing the hands in. and release it down. Good. Roll it out, everybody. And then you can hang on to it for now. Just inhale up. You can take the legs wider and exhale, forward fold. So start to come into your forward fold. If you normally would have blocks under your hands here, go ahead and do that, or take the legs a little bit wider so that the fingertips come down to the floor, and just start to sway a little bit side to side, starting to warm up the hips, warm up the legs. Find your breath. And even here, if you have a lot of stuff going on with the hands, the palms, you can just allow that ball to kind of roll under one palm, especially in that thumb area, where it can get so tight. And then you can switch hands and do that side too. Good. And then engage the inner thighs. Watch your low backs, everybody. Take the ball in one hand, take it behind your back. Reach the other hand behind, interlace the hands. We were doing this standing. Stretch the arms and come into forward fold. You can raise those arms up towards ceiling or not. Watch your backs, just getting a long stretch for these hammies. Breathe. Good. Release the arms. Take those hands back down, bend the knees, and come on up to standing. Good. Roll out your shoulders, step your feet together. Take that ball to the floor and step on it with one foot. You're going to go right to the heel of that foot. And I just want you to put some weight on that. Again, be mindful, right? So we have all kinds of stuff going on with our feet. You might have some heel spurs or plantar fasciitis, right? So just be really mindful, and then start to roll it around the heel and into the arch a little. So the arch, and particularly the inner arch, can get so tender, right? We are on our feet a lot. We don't wear the best shoes, right? All those things. And then find some spot in that arch, and see if you can put a little weight there. And just breathe. Make sure you're not locking out the other knee. Just keep it soft. And then maybe move it a little higher up on the arch. It's amazing what you can do with a tennis ball to just kind of break up some of that tight tissue on the arch. And you can kind of rock it back and forth. I don't know about you, but that feels so good, right? It's just amazing. They got something going on down the hill. Little boogers on a Sunday. And then bring it to the ball mound, like it's right at that bottom edge. Maybe press into it. Let your toes curl around it. Good. And then bring it to the ball mound. Just press down. And then bring it up into the toes if you can. If the ball flies out, don't worry about it. Maybe bend the knee so you're really stretching the toes. Be mindful here. And release it. And then just stand one foot to the other foot and notice how just a minute, right? A couple of minutes of doing that stretch in this foot for me feels just like so much calmer. All right, so let's go to the other side. Now I'm doing this pretty quickly. You could spend truly 5 minutes on each foot, and it would feel so good. And just kind of press into the heel. We've done classes with tennis balls before, and the tennis ball will pop. And I always joke, has nothing to do with your size. It's usually the tennis ball and how old it is. And then start to move into the arch and find some tender spots there. So just a little bit of, while we're playing here, a little bit of notes about tennis balls and trigger point work and muscle work, right? So don't worry about, as we're working with the hips, don't worry about it being exactly where I have it, right? You will know, you're going to find some tender spots, right? Chances are those are the spots for you. So if you get it in the general area that we're working, you are doing it correctly. And try not to put a tennis ball on a bone, especially the spine, right? You would never put the tennis ball directly on your spine, directly on the hip joint. You can go all around it, that kind of stuff. So keep it on soft tissue. Oh man, what did I do to my feet? Holy moly. So hopefully you are kind of rocking and rolling around that arch. Now I'll have to come back to this later, otherwise we'll be here all class. And then go right to the edge of the ball mound and kind of press into that a little bit. And then go to the ball mound if you can. Surprised this hasn't popped out yet, popped out from under my foot. And then see if you can wrap those toes around, right? Or at least some of them, and then bend the knee. So you're really getting a stretch, at least for some of those toes. And then release that. And you can grab your tennis ball, just hang on to it, and stand and feel both feet. And notice how they feel. And then just rock a little forward back. If you can, I want you to come up to the ball mounds, bend the knees, find your steady point, little balance work here. Squeeze the glutes, right? Try to find that steady balance. If you're still good, take the arms up. Breathe. If you're still good, baby squat. Watch the knees. Whoo, I know, inner ankles towards each other, finding that pose. And then stand up and let go. Good. All right, so you're going to make your way down to the floor. Actually, just set your tennis ball down. Let's get a little more warmed up before we go right to the floor. Inhale, reach up. Exhale all the way down. Oh, yeah, feels good. You can always have your blocks at the front of your mat if you want to use them. From here, see if you can lift both heels off the floor and then set them down. Good. Lift both heels off the floor. Obviously, the knees have to bend, and set them down one more time. Bend the knees, lift the heels off the floor, lower those down. Good. Soften both knees, step back, right leg. Lower that knee to the floor, release your back toes. Inhale the arms up. Breathe, exhale your hands to your heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale all the way down to the floor. Good. Lift your right knee, step back to downward facing dog. Spread your fingers, everybody. Spread those hands. Pedal the feet, starting to warm up and stretch out the back of your legs. It's a beautiful thing. And then plank pose. Breathe. Adjust your pose as needed. Imagine you're squeezing a big beach ball between the elbows. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower the knees, everybody. Draw the elbows to your sides. Lower it down. Easy, easy little baby cobra or sphinx. Don't go super high. We're not all that warmed up. And exhale, downward facing dog. Pedal it out. Optionally, lift your right leg up to the ceiling. Optional, don't have to do that. And then step all the way through right leg. Breathe, open up your chest. Go slow. Step forward with your left leg. You're in a forward fold. Bend the knees. Inhale all the way up. Exhale to your heart. Good. Inhale, take it up. Exhale all the way down. Optionally, lift those heels, bend the knees, stretching out the feet, lower the heels. You can have your hands on blocks too. It'd be a little bit easier. Lift the heels and drop. Last one, lift the heels, everybody. And drop those heels. Good. Soften both knees, step back, left leg. Lower that knee to the floor. Inhale, reach up. Exhale to your heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale all the way down. Good. Lift that knee. Step back, downward facing dog. Same thing here. Spread through the fingers. Maybe claw the tips of the fingers into your yoga mat. Pedal out the feet, stretching out the back legs. Come to plank pose. Breathe. Remember, knees can always be down here. Find your pose. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lower the knees optionally, and come on down, chaturanga. Release to a low cobra. I'm staying really low. My back's not warmed up enough yet. Exhale, downward facing dog. Find your breath. Lift the left leg optionally. Breathe. Step all the way through left leg. Notice your poses. Everybody can always use blocks here. And then step forward right leg. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, interlace those hands and press them up. Exhale, release those hands down to the floor. Good. Optional again. See if you can lift the heels off the floor. Blocks, no blocks, right? Exhale them down. Good. 2 more. Lift and lower. Good. 1 more. Lift those heels and lower. And then soften, step back, right leg. This time that knee is up or down. Squeeze through the inner thighs. Take the arms up. Oh yeah, a little bit of flow, just a little bit today. Catching your breath, feeling your body, using your breath. Exhale, hands to heart. Open up your chest. Good. Either take your right elbow to the outside of your left knee, or release those hands and take the hand to the knee instead, right? So this is a little gentler, not as deep a twist. This one a little bit harder. However, if you press your knee into your elbow into your knee, you find that balance. Little bit of tone to the lower belly, and then take it center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, down to the floor. Step back, downwards facing dog. Find your pose. Pedal it out. Now you can stay here if you would like, or come to plank. Open up shoulders. Find your breath, tone your belly. Knees up or down, chaturanga. Release, cobra, sphinx, none of the above. Exhale, downward facing dog. Find your breath. Don't worry about keeping up, right? And I didn't say this, but you can do this so beautifully on a chair, right? We've done chair yoga where we do sun salutes on the chair. Use your breath. Optionally, lift the right leg. Now, a lot of people will do this to really use momentum to swing that leg through. See if you can not use as much momentum, but purposefully slide that leg through and step it forward. And then push off your back leg, step forward. Breathe, bend your knees, inhale, reach up. Exhale, your hands to your heart. We got 1 more, interlace, press up. Open the chest maybe. Release the hands, exhale down. Breathe, everybody. When and if you're ready, you're gonna lift those heels. Whew, and set them down. Lift the heels, think about it. Set it down. Last one, lift. And set those down, soften both knees, step back, left leg. Your choice again, knee up or knee down. Take those arms up. Find your breath, find your pose. Good activation. Does anybody feel a stretch along that front leg, right? What's happening in the body? Hands come to heart. Open up your shoulders. 1, you're here. 2, it's a hand to a knee. 3, it's an elbow to the knee. Once you bring that elbow down or hand down, push strongly through your back leg. That's it. Use your breath. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. We're moving all that junk out of our bodies, all that waste product that we don't need. Good. Center. Woo. Inhale up. Exhale, hands down. Step back, downward facing dog. Breathe, 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 everybody. Plank pose. Your choice here, knees up or knees down, chaturanga. Release, up dog. or cobra or sphinx. Good, down dog. That's nice, right? Are we all warmed up now? Yeah, left leg rises up. Step all the way through. When you're ready, push off your back foot. And inhale, reach up. Exhale, your hands to your heart. Woo. Good, release. Shake it out. I was watching a yoga thing this morning, trying to get some other ideas other than what I had for the tennis ball. And I was watching an Instagram, and the gal never took her gaze off of her camera. And I thought, how do you do that? You're always looking like this and doing things. I was like, that does not work for me. I can't look this way and do things this way. It's just not good for me. All right. So again, watch the feet here. And before we come down, I just want to play with this idea. So grab your blocks, and they're up on high, and you're behind them. And if you can, you're just going to lift those heels, right? You're going to squeeze an imaginary block between your thighs. You're going to squeeze those inner elbows toward each other. 1, you're going to stay right here. 2, you're going to come to fingertips. Little bit of balance work here. 3, you're going to release the hands and bring them to your heart. Whew. Find your pose. I know, right? 4, you're going to stand up. Drop the heels. Good. Shake it out. So ankle strength, right? Knees, quads. What have we been doing for probably a good couple, almost 2 weeks? Now, can we reverse that? So you're in front of your blocks. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, your hands to your heart. Start to bend the knees, lift the heels, find your still point, bend the hips so that you can come into that little baby squat. Take the hands to your blocks. And then drop heels, straighten legs, bow your head down. Nice forward fold here. That's it. Little bit of a stretch through the back body, through the hamstrings. And then move your blocks out of the way. Plant those hands again. Step back to down dog. Find your breath. As you inhale, tippy toes, lower the knees until they're 1 inch or 2 off the floor. We play with this one a lot too because it's a core strengthener. Now you got to tone that belly. Don't let the head drop. You're looking down at your mat, not down by your knees, okay? And then lift 1 foot off the floor, optional. Breathe. 1, you're here. 2, that foot's back on the floor. 3, the knees are back on the floor. Or 4, you're feeling spunky, so you straighten the left leg and raise the right leg. Good, deep breath, everybody. Really plant the hands so that you don't slip and slide. Let's reverse that. Bend both knees. Come back to this weird little table. Drop the foot. Lower both knees. And if you can, sit back into a long arm child's pose. Good. Don't hurt your toes, okay? You know who you are. Good. Just 1 more, other side. Engage, table pose. Toes are flipped under, lift the knees. Feel good, stay here. Otherwise, you want a little bit more, you're going to lift the left foot off the floor. Core work right here, everybody. Still okay? Let's press through the standing leg. Lift the other leg. Try to balance out the hips a little bit, right? That tendency is to kind of fling that leg up and hips are all wonky. Let's not do that. And then bend both knees. Hover. Put the foot back down. Drop the knees back down. Press back a little bit. Stretch it out. Good. And release, everybody. All right, come on off table pose. Shake out those hands, shake out those wrists. Good, maybe a couple of fists and open. Just stretching that out. It's tough to put the weight on the hands like that you know, for long periods of time. Even if you're a long time yogi, that pressure can be a lot. So we'll kind of shake that out. All right, so sit in your regular way. Move the flesh out from the sit bones. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, take your right hand down. Just stretch. And breathe. The lighting is very funky here today. Good. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, other side. Whew. And breathe. That's it. Stretch it out, everybody. And come up. Exhale, hands to heart. Good. Shake it out. And then grab a tennis ball and one block. You can sit on a blanket if you want. That would be perfectly fine. You don't have to. Might be just a nice little cush for your behind. Good. And then you have your block and you have your tennis ball. Start by coming into Dandasana, staff pose, right? Just feel that. Open up the shoulders, press the hands down on your mat. And just kind of find that nice, beautiful, erect spine, right? Where the head is in alignment, the shoulders, the chest is up. And breathe. And then if you want, lift one leg, tone that belly, lift the arms, also optional, right? We've got all kinds of very experienced yogis here, different levels, different everything. All of us coming together to feel our quads. And then lower that down. Holy moly, lower the hands. Come back to your beautiful Dandasana. When you're ready, tone the belly. See if you can lift the other leg. Good quad work here. Take the arms up, also optional. Use your breath, everybody. Exhale, release it down. Good. And then you're going to grab your block and set it on your mat. Where it's going to be is, so if you were to rest your calf muscle on it, it would just rest right in the middle of it. And then you're going to take your tennis ball and put that between the block and your leg. Your other leg can be bent just from a stability standpoint. Your hands can come back behind. You can either go here and you're just going to kind of roll around that calf muscle, or you can lift your butt off the floor and find a little bit more. Now, my runner out there, this is awesome. Calf muscles get super tight. If you're doing a lot of tennis, running, you know, hiking, these calf muscles get super tight. And then, you know, the Achilles tendon gets tight, the foot gets tight. That's why we started with the foot. Can you find a little tender spot in there? Ooh. So find that tender spot. You can even set your butt down if your shoulders are getting tired. And then I want you to point and flex. Point, oh, and flex. So at least 3 muscles in the calf, right? The soleus, soleus muscle, which is very deep, not very accessible. And then the 2 gastrocnemius muscles on either side. Those are the ones we see the most, right? The Achilles attaches to that, and that Achilles tendon goes all the way down to the bottom of the heel. Good, couple more. Woo. Now, obviously, good, release that, set that down, and then just let some of that weight sit on that thigh or on that calf. It should go without saying, if you have varicose veins, if you have issues, you're going to go super light, okay, or not at all, especially on varicose veins. Woo, good. And then release that side if you can, and not all of you are going to be able to. I want you to take the tennis ball right between the knee and squeeze it in. Woo, yes, darling. Now, if you cannot bend the knee this much, don't worry about it. There's a couple of different things you can try using your block, or you can just bend it to your level. Don't worry about the tennis ball part. So again, right, as we create space around this knee, when we have knee issues, right, all of these muscles that are going into the knee from the top and the bottom. Oh yeah, just breathe. So again, reading a different article on tennis balls and yoga and therapy, it said that if you can hold and release to at least 80%, say 100% is that sensation, and you can release to 80, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. You don't want to overdo because then you're just sore everywhere. All right, let's release that side. Whoo, shake that leg out. Go to the other side. So same thing. You're going to set your block, your ball, and your calf muscle. Oh. One side bound to be a little bit tighter than the other, depends on how we stand, how we move. So we can start easy. If the tennis ball flies out, just pick it up and start over. Bend the knee or not, lift the hips or not. When you lift the hips, what happens? You're putting more weight on that tennis ball, right? And you can go all the way up, all the way down. Whew. Yeah, that feels good. This is a kind of a neglected area of the body, right? We don't do a whole lot there. And I didn't do this on the other side, but you might notice if you turn the foot out just a little bit, you're going to hit some of those outer fibers. Whew. Yeah, baby. And then find your spot there and point and flex. If I'm grimacing, I'm really smiling. And breathe. If your upper body's tired because you're holding your hips up, just sit that behind back down. Oh yeah, that feels good. Maybe shift a little. So I learned this years ago when I was in physical therapy for who knows what. I've been there a time or two. And when they were working with the muscles, they would have me then move through that muscle, right? So as we point and flex, we're using the muscle, flexing and contracting it and stretching it, so it's a little more effective. And then release that side. I want you to take the tennis ball behind the knee if you can, squeeze it in. You can set that foot down, you can lean into it. Yeah. And I know at least one of my yogis, a couple of my yogis out there, have knee issues. I can tend to have knee issues. I've got this left knee taped up right now because I'm just a crazy woman. So, and this really helps. This really makes a difference. Sorry, Carrie and I are looking at each other because there's a really weird noise happening around us and we don't know what it is. Sounds like a bird. Oh, squirrel down at the bird feeder, maybe. That's what it was. We are kind of in the woods here, so kind of. And release. Carrie's going to look, make sure it's not a bear. Oh, good. Breathe, everybody. Shake it out. So then a squirrel. So another option, right? So we've released the calves. Take the same thing up to the back of the thigh. What is that, right? We all know that's our hamstrings. There's 3 of them. So again, you can just sit and let the weight of your body press into that tennis ball. You can lift the hips and start to roll the hamstrings attached to the sit bones. Oh, yeah. And again, maybe turn the foot out a little bit. You're going to get that outer hamstring. Maybe the inner, if it falls off of your block, don't worry about it. And then maybe you come a little higher up. This is where it'll get tricky. Woo. And maybe you sit on your block. Tennis ball. I know you can't really see it, but it's right there. Oh, yeah. Right. And you can go all the way up. I'm probably going to run out of block. Yeah. You can go all the way up to that sit bone. Whew, right. However deep you want to go. So as we control our body weight, it controls the amount of pressure on the ball. So if you're sitting up and it's near those sit bones and you want to stretch forward a little bit, just please be gentle. Don't overdo here. Good. And then lean back, release, come off of that side and go to the other side. So it's about mid thigh, mid back of thigh. Find your spot for you. You can start by just keeping the hips down, maybe finding some tender spots. The other thing that they say about tennis balls and foam rollers is that if we just roll, and we don't, like if you find a tender spot, you want to hang out on the tender spot for a little bit, whether you're foam rolling or using the tennis ball. If you just roll back and forth, you won't get as much benefit. I'm just a wealth of tidbits and information. Ooh, maybe turn the foot out, right? So outer hamstrings. Whoop. Off the block it went. Maybe you work your way up to those sit bones. Oh, oh yeah. I'm not even there and I can feel how tight that is. Whew. And maybe you stretch a little forward. Are you smiling? Are you feeling this? You know, all of my yogis out there, you're so active and I love that. So we got to take care of our bodies, right? We're active, we do a bunch of different things and we want to try to take care of it while we're at it. Good. And then lean back, come on off, set your block aside, keep your tennis ball where you can reach it, and then come on down to your back. All the way down. Oh, good. Stretch it out. I want you to take your left leg up to the ceiling. You can just use your hands here to hold that. Maybe the hands go up to your shins instead of back of your thigh. You can have a blanket or something under the head if you would like. And then point, flex that foot. If you are able, go ahead and straighten the right leg so that we get more of a stretch. Point, flex, point, flex. You got it. And breathe. And then just press down through the back of the hips. Lift your right foot off the floor a couple of inches using a little bit more core. If you want, release the hands from the legs. Reach for that right foot. Curl up, tuck your chin, engaging core a whole bunch. Breathe. If it's a head neck issue, one hand behind your head, just so you can support your neck while you're doing this. And then lower your body, lift the right leg, bend the left knee and just put that foot on the floor. Start with a little simpler stretch. Roll the shoulders back. You can reach up to the shin if you can reach, and then point and flex. So you can feel those muscles working under your hands, the same ones we were using with the tennis ball. Straighten the left leg if you can. If that's too much, if the hammies are too tight, then just keep it bent. And breathe, maybe point, flex a few more. Good, still good. Lift the left leg a couple of inches, tone through your belly, release the leg. Reach for that opposite foot. One hand behind the head can help support the head, the neck, and breathe. You got this, everybody. Lower the head, lift the leg, bend both knees. Let your right foot let your left foot come to the floor and come into figure 4 on the right side. So your right ankle is above your left knee. Draw that knee to chest. I want you to feel this. Feel this stretch. And then lower that foot to the floor. You're going to grab your lovely little tennis ball and you're going to place it right at that right side hip. So it's just sitting, it's below the hip bone. It's kind of heading toward the glute. You're still in figure 4. And I want you to just lean over to that. If you can, you're gonna rest on the tennis ball in figure four. So I'm leaning into my right hip. I've got that tennis ball sitting. Yeah, sitting on that tensor fascia lata, the outer hip, and then you can roll around a little bit. Oh, yeah. You can rock side to side so that that tennis ball, I hope you all can see that. And again, remember what I said at the beginning? Does not have to be in a perfect place. I like to roll it all the way to that lower rim of the pelvis, right? So way up where the sacrum and the hip line comes out. Whew. And then you can roll it down. Oh my goodness gracious. Whew. You can roll it down, getting over the piriformis, getting all of the external rotators of the hips. And the only place I would not go is right on the bony joint of the hip, right? Breathe. And set your behind back on that. Take the tennis ball out. Bring the knees back toward chest. So you're still in figure four. And breathe. And just feel that, right? It's like, oh, yeah, baby. I like it. Good. Release those legs. I like this. The pain is my friend. No. I'm going to turn around just in case you need visually to see what's going on. So same thing on this side. Let's take the left ankle to the right knee, figure four. No tennis ball to start. You're going to draw the knees to chest, and I just want you to feel the stretch, right? Just feel the stretch there. Again, you never want to overdo it. Big deep breath. And then release it. Set that tennis ball right at the side of your hip. And then just see what starts to happen as you roll over it. Maybe you roll it over it and then you release, right? And you roll over it and release. Oh, and just smile. And my lovely Betty out there, I know you just love tennis balls, so I'm sorry about this class. And breathe, and then start doing what you do for you, right? You're in this figure four. If you can, you're lifting the hips. You're rolling around. You're just going, I like to go basically from sacrum to the side of the hip. I just roll from side to side. Think of a rolling pin, right? Just rolling out that flesh, trying to get into the muscles. Ooh, you can do circles. And just adjust the ball if it feels like it's starting to slip out. Just adjust it. Just find your spot. Maybe you find your tight spot. Ooh, yeah, baby. And breathe. And if you hate the tennis ball, if you hate this thing, you cannot befriend your tennis ball. Just take it out and do the same thing without the tennis ball. Okay, because you can roll around these hips, you can move the knees, you can do all that without the tennis ball. You know I love you out there. All right, and then come back to center, set your hips back down, take the ball out, draw the knees toward chest. And release that. Good, and then roll over to your right side. I'm switching back around so that I'm not on the same hip two in a row. You can use a pillow or something underneath your elbow, shoulder if you want, just to give yourself a little bit of cushion. And you're going to take that same tennis ball to the side of your hip, and you're going to see if you can roll on that. Now, your other leg can either be behind or in front of you. Your bottom leg is straight-ish, I know. Breathe. This is tensor fascia lata. You're above the joint of the hip. There's often a lot of confusion between hip and pelvis, because we refer to this whole complex as the hip, but the hip joint itself, right, is where the femur comes into the hip socket, the acetabulum. And we're staying above that. Good, breathe. I know, everybody. And then release, roll off, come up to your side. Oh, holy moly. And then take that tennis ball underneath, so you're below the hip joint. You're on what's known affectionately and anatomically as your iliotibial band. It is that side, that long tendon that goes from the hip to the knee. So here we are. You can play. Now, if this is super painful, which it is for a lot of people, don't go right on the very side, right? Right on the tendon. Go to either end of it. So you're either forward of it or to the side of it. Hang in there. Breathe. Couple more. See if you can slide up, down. This is usually a pretty yucky spot. Foam roller, a lot of people will use this on the foam roller. My understanding is you want to be on the back side or the front side and not directly on it. And then come on down. Whew. Take that ball out of there. Grab your other leg, other foot, other toe, and stretch. And breathe. Just stretch out. That's it. Good. Release it. Turn yourself around. I hope you're still with me, right? I can't see the class count, but I bet you're dropping like flies. Like, that's enough of that. We'll stretch all this out, I promise. So you're on your other side. You're going to take that ball above your hip joint into that TFL or tensor fascia lata. You can lean on it if you want less pressure. Again, I should have said this on the other side. Stay up on elbow. If you want to come down, ho, 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 right? Big, big, big pressure there. Just breathe, everybody. Leg can be straight, knee can be bent. You can start to lift and roll just a little. Right, so if the goal is not 100% relief, but a little bit of relief, if we can stay, if you think about if you've been to a massage therapist and they dig their thumb into a muscle and you're like, ah, but then after a few moments, it's like, okay, less intense, less intense, less intense. That's kind of what we're looking for, right? We're looking for a little less intense, nothing big deal. If you're there and it's just solid intensity and there's no relief, then you're probably got too much weight on it and you need to come up a little bit. Good. All right, so if you were down low, this side for me was way more intense, so I came up a little bit higher. Come on up, take the tennis ball out. You're going to go to this side of your leg. Remember to kind of be on either side of that. And then you decide how much intensity. Again. Whew. Breathe. Oh, if I was in my studio, I could see all your faces right now. The ones that are in the studio. I know, I'm sorry. But we got to do this every once in a while. Good. Roll it out. Find your spot. Don't overdo. If you've had enough, you've had enough. Now, what's going to be super important right after this class is you drink a ton of water because we're releasing all kinds of crap out of these muscles. All right, release it. Get that tennis ball out of the way. Bend your top leg. Take your foot, toe, shin, or calf, and just stretch it out. Big deep breath. Good. Bend, release. Hang on to your tennis ball. Come onto your back, everybody. You're like, hallelujah. Oh, good. Cross your right leg over your left. Bring both knees to chest. One, you're going to be right here, right? Just knees to chest. Two, you're going to slide your hands down your shins. And either find your ankles or your feet and come into cow face, legs. This should feel like a really good stretch after all that tennis ball work. Big deep breath. You can rock a little bit side to side. Just breathe. Good. Really switch sides. Just change those knees. And either stay here. For some of you, this is plenty enough stretch. Or you slide the hands down. And it's kind of, I always think of a wishbone, right? You separate those shins, or you grab your feet. Try to keep your sacrum down, like try not to over round your back here. If you're over rounding, you're probably overreaching. So I would just grab the shins. It feels just as good. Breathe. Good. And release both feet to the floor. So if you have something under your head, go ahead and take it out from under your head. Bridge pose, I'm not a big fan of having anything under your head. Now, I told you in the beginning, no tennis ball on bone, but this time I want you to take the tennis ball smack in the middle of your sacrum. So often we'll do bridge pose and we'll put a block under our sacrum. So make sure it's not on your spine per se, but on that hard bony sacrum, smack in the middle. And then your hips are off the floor, so you're in this very low bridge pose. And from here, just rock a little side to side. Right? Sacrum is a wide bony plate. You can take this, maybe you do little circles. Should feel good. If it doesn't, go ahead and take the tennis ball out, circle the other way. And then come to the center. Your hands come down to the floor, palms are face down. Belly tones, lift one foot off the floor. You are balancing kind of on that ball. Take the leg up to the ceiling, hold here. Shoulders are down, leg is up. Breathe. And release that leg. Lift the other foot, take that leg up. Breathe. Easy, easy. This should not be a struggle here. If the tennis ball just hurts like crazy, you can place the block there. And release that leg. Press into both feet. Lift your hips. Just take that tennis ball out and come into bridge pose. Deep breath, really feel, right? So maybe you feel some of the effects of that tennis ball. We're lifting up. We're finding this lovely little bridge pose. And lower all the way down. Good. Draw your knees to your chest. We're getting there, everybody. Hang in there with me. And then roll over to one side. We're going to come onto our bellies. And however, excuse me, if you have a towel or a blanket, go ahead and just place that down on your mat where your hips would be. It's just a little bit of cushion. And Carrie, I have an extra blanket right inside the door if you want to grab it. Okay. So it's just really cushion. You don't need it. So if you don't have it, don't worry about it. And whoop. And again, I'm going to stay upright to show you. I do want you to be mindful here. So again, if you've been a student of mine for a long time, you know about the psoas. So we're going to lay on our bellies and we're going to take that ball right about here. So here's where is my hip bone? There's my hip bone, right? And we're going to go kind of below that. And you'll know it because when you lay down, you're going to have like a little divot there. Now, cystic stuff, belly stuff, intestinal stuff. You know, right? If this tennis ball in this spot should not be there, don't do it. Another option, less comfortable, is you can take your soft fist under there, get a little bit of the same, but it's a little hard on the hand. So what this does is it puts pressure on the psoas as we go kind of from this low spot to a little higher spot, okay? So I warn you just because I want you to be careful, but generally speaking, you should be just fine. So you're going to lay on your belly. Psoas gets super tight. If we're sitting, biking, running, excuse me, anytime that knee is coming up toward torso, you're using those hip flexors, which is what we're stretching out. So you're going to lean to one side and you're just going to set that tennis ball. You'll feel your hip. Just set it to the inside of that. And then lay back down. And you'll know you're going to find the spot where it should be able to sit. It might have to come in another inch so that it feels comfortable as it can be. If it feels horrible, you are taking the tennis ball out and you can play with putting your soft fist in there. And then I just want you to lay down and breathe. And just kind of notice, like, is this super tight? Is this really tender for me? It's not a real tender because we do a lot of stretches through the psoas. But notice how it feels to you. Do you have a job that you are sitting a lot of the day? Right? This could be really tight. If the psoas is tight, it pulls down on the back. It can flatten the lumbar spine. So we breathe. So when you're here, that's plenty enough for you. Two, you're just going to bend your knee and release it. You're going to bend and release. Good. One more. Just bend and release. And then reach down and roll that ball up a little higher. It stays inside the hip. That will either feel more comfortable or less. If you got a little bit of warm sensation at the lower one, don't worry too much about that as long as it comes back to neutral. You probably just hit the femoral artery a little bit. So it's okay. And then notice that. And again, bend the knee and release. And bending the knee is optional. Good. Last time, bend the knee only if you want. Reach back for that foot and draw it in. So we're stretching the quad. We're stretching a little bit of that psoas. So that might create a lot more intensity. Just breathe, everybody. And release that side. Come on out. You're going to do the other side. So again, I'll switch around just in case you need to see that, but you're laying on your belly and you're going to lift that left hip away from the floor a little bit and just tuck it down low and find the little divot, find the little kind of quote unquote soft spot. Oh, that feels good. And just pause. You can rock a little. You can stay right where you are. You want to stay off the bladder, obviously. So you're just checking it out and then maybe bend the knee and straighten it a couple of times. Good. One more. What I find with the tennis ball, with the foam roller, with any of this kind of work is if you can breathe and you can relax into it, chances are it dissipates pretty quickly. And then lean to the side, let that ball come up higher, it stays inside the hip. Find that little tight, maybe a little tender spot and bend the knee, release and bend, release. One more, bend and hold, and only if you want, reach back. See if you can find your foot. If you're using a blanket or a towel underneath, it does help cushion it a little bit so it's not quite as intense. And release it. Roll to one side, come on out. Set your tennis ball up in front of you and come into Sphinx pose. And maybe notice that it feels a little bit different, right? As we soften those muscles a little bit, we have a little bit more movement through our lumbar spines, through our bellies. And breathe. Good. And then last one here with the tennis ball. You're going to take this tennis ball again, be mindful. Okay. So we're going to use the tennis ball. Everybody can feel their collarbone. And we're going to take the tennis ball right underneath it. Now, I know at least one of you has a port. You're not going to be on that port, so you don't go there, right? If you have other things going on, whether they're implants or anything, just make sure you're right up at the collarbone and not into the breast flesh at all. And you're going to come down. You're going to find that bottom of your collarbone, and you're going to see if you can get some traction on it. Might be too hard on the floor. I think it's going to be too hard on the floor. So let's sit up. Let's sit up. So this is tennis ball on the collarbone is best at the wall. I thought we could maybe do it on the floor, but we're going to be smashing our noses. That's not going to feel good. So take the tennis ball right up at that collarbone and just roll side to side. Right. It should feel good. Again, tennis ball to the wall here is magic. It frees up a lot of this tension through here. And then go right to your sternum, right to that hard breastbone. Shocking how tender that chest bone can be. And just kind of rocks up and down. And then go to the other side. And breathe. Come back to the chest bone. Just kind of rub it. And this is another spot. I know I said don't go on the bones, but this, especially with hand pressure, I wouldn't do this on the floor. But you can even go to this just to the side, and you'll feel where all those rib attachments are. That can again get so tender, all those muscles. So you can go to just either side. Again, I'm not in the breast tissue itself. I'm just kind of working on the attachments and release it. And then take that ball behind you, palms toward the ball, and stretch it out. And breathe. Let it go. You're going to grab one block, and this is my final be mindful warning here. So you can move your blanket out of the way. You're not going to need that. Here's what we're going to do. So at the back of the head, you're not on your spine. You're on either side, and this is the occipital ridge, and you can feel it where the base of the spine comes down to the neck, right? That's the base of your occipital area, and it's the occipital ridge, and a lot of tension headaches come from this spot. So see what you think. If you don't like it, I don't want you to do that. Don't want you to do it, but you're going to lay down so that block is under your head, and then you're going to put the tennis ball on the block, on your neck. Now, for me, I do neck stuff all the time, so this just feels really good. If it is too much for you, try taking the block out and have your blanket or towel there with the tennis ball on that instead of on the block. Because for some, this block might just be too high. And then you're going to stay off the center. So your head is turned a little to one side, and you're going to find a spot and pause and let your chin be heavy. And then you're going to just turn the chin a little bit more, find a spot, and let the chin be heavy so that chin is dropping down to your chest. Maybe turn a little bit more. And breathe. And then just rock a little side to side. Just a little bit. We're not going to stay here long. I love this. I mean, it just, this is where I get my headaches. So when I do get headaches, so it's that occipital ridge tension, the trapezius muscles, the levator scapula, all that goes up there. And then release that side and just let your head sit on the block for a second. And then go to the other side where you're going to set the block or the ball underneath. You're staying off the center. And you're just going to find a little tender spot And pause. Let the chin be heavy. That's really important. We're stretching some of those muscles. And then maybe turn the chin a little bit. Excuse me. And maybe turn the chin a little bit more. Maybe rock a few times side to side. Right on the edge of my block here. And release it. Let your head come back to your block. And then kind of find the edge of the block with the edge of your occipital ridge and just drop your chin. So you're really tucking your chin. You're just stretching. And then take the block out from under your head. Turn your head to one side and center, and turn it to the other side and center. Good. Inhale, reach those arms up to the ceiling. As you exhale, bring the knees to your chest. And breathe. Take all four limbs up to the ceiling. Draw the shoulders down. Lower the right foot down toward the mat, but not all the way. Lower the left hand all the way back, or almost all the way back, so your thumb is touching the floor. Keep the chin level. Try not to raise your chin. Take everything to center. Switch sides. Your left leg hovers toward the floor. Your right thumb comes to the floor. Breathe. Switch. Make sure you're breathing. And switch. And switch. Good. Two more. Switch. And switch. Both knees to chest. Lower both knees to the right. Open up your shoulders, your chest. Take the left arm out to the left. Maybe gaze over to the left side. Find your breath. And breathe. One more deep breath. Good. Knees back to center. Let them roll over to the left. Right arm stretches out. Maybe the gaze is toward the right, maybe not. Soften your jaw, everyone. And bring your knees back to center. That felt so good. And with your knees bent, I want you to just roll around your hips. So it's kind of like doing knee circles without using your arms. So you go into your side a little across the high sacrum to the other side and down toward the tailbone. And switch directions. And then come back to center. Let those feet come to the floor. And as you're ready, straighten one leg and straighten the other leg. If you want, this is just for fun. See if you can balance that tennis ball somewhere on your belly, like your belly button or your the chest bone or just somewhere where you can notice it's there but not worry about it. Oop. It may not stay. See if you can find a little spot to let it be. And then find your Shavasana. Sorry, every time I take a breath in, it falls off. So I'm going to just set my tennis ball aside. Oh, just smile, everyone, and let your body settle down to the floor. Feel the breath go deep and let it fall back down to the floor. Soften your jaw, soften your belly. Find yourself in the present moment. Soften your body even more. Let your body soften. And slowly, as you're ready, start to move your body. Draw the knees up toward chest and just stretch them out. Maybe rock a little side to side. You're probably going to be feeling those hips a little bit from the work. Remember, lots of water today. A hot bath would be lovely. And then allow the knees to roll to one side or the other. Curl over to fetal pose. And then as you're ready, come on up to your seated pose. And then bring your hands to your heart. Bow to your own inner goodness, your inner love, your inner kindness. Know that that is just waiting to come out. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you all so much.